Hey guys, what's up? It's been a while since I've done an anime review, hasn't it? Well, one that caught my eye recently was Ajin, so we're going to be talking about that. I actually wanted to have this review out a little bit sooner, but I've just been too busy and just a bunch of things kept coming up. But now I can finally do it, so without further ado, let's go. So Ajin is a 13-episode anime by Polygon Pictures and licensed by Netflix for English release. The first thing I noticed while watching this was the animation style. It has a 3D feel to it, which I personally really love. They still have a little bit to work out though to make every movement feel natural. Sometimes I feel as though the character is in a pool and they move a little bit too slow compared to regular animation where everything seems to be moving perfectly fine like this, whereas in the Ajin they seem to be moving just kind of hesitantly. It's not that big of a deal though where it really distracts you from the storyline or the amazing action scenes. Now, I'm going to be taking you back a little bit to when Ajin was first released in English as a manga. So the cover art is what really caught my eye when I picked it up in the stores, and after I first read the manga, I was like, wow, this has to be made into an anime. Fortunately, I was right, and I'm super pleased with how it turned out. So it's basically about a boy named Kei, who finds out he's an Ajin, or someone who can't die, aka they also call it a Demi-God. Now normally in an anime you'd think that would be pretty awesome, but this one keeps it a little bit more realistic. Ajin are feared in the public eye in the US and in Japan, although some other countries do worship them. But any that are caught in the US and Japan are then turned into the government and experiment on, and you can only imagine what kind of experiments they might do. So sometimes this anime is a little bit graphic. I wouldn't say graphic as in you see a lot of blood and gore, but it is kind of realistic with what kind of tests they would do on these people. So when Kei gets run over by a bus, and this is in no way a spoiler as it happens pretty quickly in the first episode, he freaks out and runs away. I don't blame him. So now he's on the run from the government and has to figure out how he's going to live and what the extent is of his powers, and they get pretty cool. So the story also follows the perspective of another older Ajin known as Sato-san. He has a bit of an aggressive take on how Ajin and humans interact and are treated. So the feelings I got from this really reminded me of Death Note. There's a big struggle between who is right and who is wrong, but there really is no black and white. Everything's muddled shades of gray. So Kei doesn't really struggle with what's right and what's wrong. He has a very logical sense of thinking, which is very Japanese. So sometimes he has to really go against a logical side compared to a more humane side. Think maybe of how Spock would react. This is also a very Japanese way of thinking. I mean, in the beginning, he really talks about how he just wants to become a doctor and an upstanding citizen. Another thing Ajin showed which really caught my eye was the hesitance to take action during an extreme situation. This is also a very common thing in Japan. If a person isn't told exactly what they need to do in an extreme situation, say something is caught on fire, they will hesitate to react and make very uneducated actions, which to me would be common sense. If you want to understand what I'm talking about a bit more, check out this video by the Japan channel. I love that channel. Been following it for many years. So I think Ajin not only shows the ugliest in humanity, but some of the flaws in the Japanese culture and way of thinking. Now I only read 3 or 4 of the manga, but from what I remember the anime remained pretty true. I'm sure there were some differences, but that's only expected. I also really enjoyed the intro and outro of the anime. And once you get a few episodes into the anime, really sit and actually watch the outro and pay attention to the events that they show. So all in all, I really love this anime. I thought it was well written and thought out. I really am hoping for a second season. I also truly enjoyed the fighting sequences between well, you'll find out. I don't want to give too much away, but the fight scenes are really cool. And the way the Ajin's partners were drawn really caught my eye. I thought that stood out, and again that kind of reminded me of the Shinigami from Death Note. So go ahead and give this anime a watch and let me know what you think. Comments down below. Like I said again, this is available on Netflix, that's where I watched it. It is also in Japanese and English, though I only watched the Japanese dub. I'm not always keen on watching English subversions. But if you do, let me know. Was the voice acting pretty good? Definitely subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Misaki. I do anime reviews, things about J-fashion, gothic culture, etc. May the force be with you. Bye! So today we're going to be reviewing Steins Gate. So grab your DK pepper and let's get started.